All right, so this is principle number 3 in our series of 5 principles for a Christ-centered marriage. We've already been through 1 and 2.
Correct. Go find those.
Choose love.
Yes.
Pick your battles. Go check those out. Those are already out there and available. And now we're going into the 3rd principle, which is cool your tongue. So we're talking about, as you can imagine, what words are you using whenever you're with your spouse in your marriage?
Right.
And again, we're grounded in Scripture here, so we're going to kick it off with Scripture, so no surprises, but let's go ahead and dive in.
All right. The scripture comes from Ephesians chapter 4, and it's verse 29. Don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them.
Okay, so everything you say, be good and helpful. And don't use foul, abusive language.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in our last principle, as a reminder, one of the things that we talked about was make sure you talk about what's bothering you. But that doesn't mean criticize. So this is sort of the opposite of that. It's not the opposite. It's sort of the corollary. So you should make sure you can talk about what's bothering you, but do not criticize as you're talking about those things that are bothering you. And I think there's another scripture that dives right into this as well, so it's really critical here. So can we go into that other one as well while we're on this?
Sure. Yeah, this comes from James chapter 1, verse 19, and it says, "Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters, you must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry."
Wise words. So quick to listen and slow to speak. Those are critical in any conversation, any relationship, and super critical in a relationship with your spouse. I can remember a piece of advice that I've heard is listen as if the person you're talking to has something useful to say. And I mean, that's, that's, sometimes we sort of like get in this mode where we're already thinking about what we're going to say back as a response. So this is an important one. I think something we've actually been working on too is trying to just listen to what the other one has to say, not finish their sentences, not be thinking about...
I almost did it.
Not be thinking about what you're going to say next, but listen and then respond.
Right, and it's hard. I mean, you just saw that wasn't pretend, that was real. I mean, it's hard to do, and we realize that we try to finish each other's sentence or cut each other off very often, and it's frustrating when you realize how often you do it, and it's also frustrating when it happens to you, when someone interrupts you or tries to finish your sentence because they know what they're thinking and then know that, or because they think they know what you're thinking. So yeah, that's something we have been very intentional about, just being better listeners. And
yeah, I read a really good book called The Servant, and one of the early parts of that book talked about this, and it was, how do you think people feel when you cut them off? What does it make them think about? What are you saying about them? And for sure it says that you're not valuing their time or what they have to say, at least not in a maximal way. So yeah. So again, we do grounded in Scripture, and we're also going to do some applications here as well.
So one thing, and this is also an application, but one thing that I don't know if we ever explicitly stated it in our relationship, but we just had the understanding that we weren't going to call each other names. There is no place in our marriage for name calling, not even in jest, not even for fun or in a joking way, because that can escalate and just be unhealthy as well. And so we don't do that, and that's an application for you as well. Remove name calling from the things that you say to your spouse.
And you're probably thinking, it's just name calling and it can be funny or whatever. I think the reason for it is it can be tempting to use, I was just joking, or I didn't mean it as a reason why you might be doing some name calling. Certainly there's some name calling that's just malicious, so get that out of there for sure. But again, be careful about your name calling in other ways, and we don't mean pet names. That's obviously something else. But name calling is something we've definitely removed. Another really good one that I like, and it's pretty recent for us actually. We didn't talk about this for a long time, but you'll notice if you use words like I never, or you use words like you never or you always, watch out for those words, because there's a couple problems with those words. The first problem is, it's almost never true. It's never true that you never or you always.
And you just said never true.
I said almost.
Okay.
Almost never true. It's almost never true that you never, you always. And let's say an example of this is you never pick up your clothes from the floor, right? And what you'll notice about that is that it immediately puts the other person on the defense. So it's not even a productive way to get to the goal that you want to get to, which is I want to actually have a conversation about how we can be better together here. I don't know what you thought about that.
Well, yeah, and you said it puts the other person on the defensive, and not only because it's using the always and or never terms, but because you're using you language, like pointing the finger, you always, you never, versus using those I feel, versus using I feel language. You know, I feel like I'm being misunderstood when whatever.
Yeah.
Versus you don't understand me.
Probably a good connection point back to the first love language around choose love, and we hinted about the same thing, which was you have your 5 love languages from that book, and for example, one of yours is acts of service, and that's not my love language. So the acts of service thing, not a big deal for me for my love language, but for you, even me doing small things like whether it's doing the dishes in an odd time, like that you don't expect, right, or whatever, that's a big deal to you.
Yeah.
So you know, I feel like you're not helping out, or why aren't we getting this done, you know? So I think that's a great point, and it's a good connection point back to the first principle.
Yes.
Okay, so this is principle number 3, right?
Yes.
Did I count
yeah,
right? 1,
no,
2, 3.
You're right.
Cool
it's
your
3.
tongue.
I think about it.
Okay, cool your tongue. We're on 5 principles for a Christ-centered marriage. We're through 3 now. So we have choose love, pick your battles, cool your tongue. Number 4, we'll see. So come back for number 4. Make sure you come back, and thanks for watching.
Yep. See you later.